All right, so let's jump into it today. We're going to be looking at the latest financial report from Nippon Life India Asset Management.
NAM India.
NAM India, yeah, for sure.
Right.
They just released their Q2 FY25 numbers, and, well, things are looking pretty interesting.
Yeah, they are.
We've got the company's reports and press releases right here ready to break it all down.
So what's really catching my eye is how much money NAM India is making. We're not just talking about decent profits. We're talking record-breaking numbers here.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
Their consolidated net profit shot up by 47% compared to this time last year,
Wow.
reaching a whopping 360 crore. That's the highest quarterly profit they've ever pulled off.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, what's driving this profit surge? Is it just a rising tide lifting all boats, or is there something more strategic at play?
Well, their operational revenue also jumped significantly, growing by 44% to hit 571 crore.
Okay.
That tells me they're not just managing existing assets, while they're actively expanding their operations and attracting more business.
Right. It's not just about sitting on a pile of cash. It's about making that pile grow. And speaking of piles, their assets under management, or AUM, reached a colossal euro 6.54 lakh crore.
Wow.
That's a massive portfolio, and it's a key indicator of their size and influence in the market.
So imagine this, the bigger their AUM, the more fees and commissions they can generate.
Right.
It's like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
More assets lead to more revenue, which fuels further growth. But there's another interesting twist here. They've shifted their portfolio, putting a larger chunk of their assets into equities.
Oh.
We're talking 51.1% compared to 46.8% last year.
That's a strategic move that speaks volumes. It could signal that NAM India is betting on the equity market to deliver higher returns compared to, say, bonds or real estate, or maybe they're responding to a surge in investor demand for equity exposure. Either way,
Right.
it's a shift that could have big implications for their future performance.
Yeah, it's like they're placing their chips on certain sectors of the market, hoping for a big payoff.
Right.
And speaking of investor behavior, their report highlighted a significant increase in systematic investments.
Oh.
Especially during this quarter.
Yeah.
In fact, they saw a 91% jump year on year, reaching a total of INR 90.3 billion.
Now, these systematic investments are particularly interesting because they represent a steady stream of money flowing into NAM India, regardless of market ups and downs.
Yeah.
It's like having a subscription service for investments.
Oh.
Predictable, reliable, and a great sign of investor confidence in their long-term strategy.
So it's less about chasing quick gains and more about building a solid foundation for growth and to sweeten the deal for investors. NAM India just approved a nice interim dividend of €8 per share.
This dividend is a clear signal that NAM India is sharing its success with its shareholders. It suggests they're confident about their financial health and their ability to continue generating profits in the future.
It's like saying, hey, we're doing well and we want you to share in the rewards, but let's move beyond just the numbers for a moment. NAM India isn't just about crunching data. They're making some bold strategic moves to expand their reach and influence.
Right. They're not content with just staying in their lane. They're actively looking for new avenues of growth. And one of the most interesting things they're doing is expanding beyond the major metropolitan areas.
Huh.
They're calling this initiative Beyond the Top 30 Cities, or B30, and it's already showing impressive results.
Yeah, they're seeing 15% quarter-on-quarter growth in this segment. Clearly, there's a huge untapped market in these smaller cities, and NAM India is smartly positioning itself to capitalize on that.
What's fascinating here is that they're recognizing the growing middle class in these B30 cities who are increasingly interested in investing and building wealth. It's like opening up a whole new world of opportunities both for NAM India and for the investors they're reaching.
It's like discovering a hidden gem, a market that's ripe for the picking. And speaking of being ahead of the curve, NAM India is also embracing the digital revolution in a big way. They're reporting that a whopping 70% of new purchases are now happening online.
This digital strategy is a game changer, no doubt. By offering easy-to-use online platforms and tools they're making, investing more accessible and convenient for a whole new generation of tech-savvy investors.
It's like they're meeting their customers where they are making the entire investment process smoother and more intuitive, but it's not all smooth sailing, right?
Uh-oh.
There's this looming issue of the show cause notice they received from SEBI, alleging they haven't fully complied with certain guidelines.
This regulatory hurdle definitely adds a layer of complexity to the story, while NAM India insists they've adhered to the guidelines and are actively engaging with SEBI to address the concerns this situation could potentially impact their operations and investor perception going forward.
It's a reminder that even with stellar financial performance and ambitious growth plans, there are always external factors that can come into play.
Exactly. It's a delicate balancing act between pushing the boundaries and staying within the lines.
Yeah, it's like they're playing a high-stakes game, and this regulatory issue is a bit of a curveball. But even with that uncertainty, there's no denying they're firing on all cylinders.
Absolutely. And one area where they're really shining is their focus on environmental, social, and governance factors, what we often call ESG.
Hmm.
This has become a huge priority for investors who want to align their portfolios with their values.
Yeah, it's not just about making money anymore. It's about making a positive impact. And any India seems to be taking this seriously, right? I mean, they're a signatory to the UN principles for responsible investment.
That's right. Being a UN PRI signatory means they're committed to incorporating ESG principles into their investment decisions and operations. But they're not just paying lip service to these ideas.
Right.
They've actually received high ESG ratings from independent organizations like Sustainalytics,
Oh, wow.
which classify them as low risk. That means they're doing a good job of managing ESG-related risks and opportunities.
So it's like they're getting a gold star for their responsible business practices. Investors can feel good knowing that their money is being managed by a company that's actually walking the walk.
Exactly. And they're not shy about sharing their efforts. They've outlined specific ESG initiatives. They're undertaking focusing on things like climate action, diversity and inclusion, ethical business practices, and even corporate governance.
Speaking of governance, let's take a closer look at any India's board of directors. They're the ones steering the ship, making the big decisions, setting the tone for the entire company.
And it looks like they've assembled a pretty strong crew. What stands out to you about their board composition?
Well, I noticed a good mix of experience and expertise. They have individuals with backgrounds in finance, banking, investment, and even the military.
Interesting.
This diverse range of perspectives is crucial for navigating complex challenges and making smart strategic choices.
You're right on the mark. And it's important to note that they also have independent directors on the board. This provides greater transparency and accountability, ensuring that all stakeholders' interests are considered, not just those of company management.
It's like having an independent watchdog, making sure everything is above board. And I also noticed that some of their board members have been with NM India for a very long time. For example, their chief investment officer has been there for over 2 decades.
That kind of long-term commitment speaks volumes. It suggests deep expertise, a strong understanding of the company's culture and investment philosophy, and the ability to provide steady leadership, especially during challenging times.
It's like having a seasoned captain at the helm, someone who knows how to weather any storm. But let's zoom out for a moment and consider the broader context in which NM India is operating. India's economy has been growing rapidly, and that growth story has definitely played a role in attracting investments into the country's financial markets.
Absolutely. India is now the fifth largest economy in the world and is projected to keep climbing the ranks in the coming years. This strong economic outlook acts like a tailwind for asset management companies like NM India.
It's like being in the right place at the right time, the market is expanding, and they're well positioned to ride that wave of growth.
But here's an interesting point. Despite India's rapid economic expansion, the penetration of mutual funds is still relatively low compared to other developed and emerging markets.
So there's still a huge untapped potential for the asset management industry in India. That's exciting.
It is. And any India with its wide reach, diverse product offerings, and strong digital presence is in a great position to capture a larger share of this growing investor base. They have the tools and the market conditions to really take off.
But let's not forget about the challenges they're facing, particularly that SEBI inquiry we talked about earlier.
Right, navigating the regulatory landscape will be crucial for their continued success.
So it seems like NM India is a company with a lot of potential, but also some potential roadblocks. It's a classic story of risk and reward, and it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
And that brings us back to the key question we posed earlier. Can NM India maintain this impressive momentum while navigating potential regulatory challenges?
It's a tough question, and the answer depends on a lot of factors.
It depends on their ability to address the concerns raised by SEBI, their agility in adapting to changing regulations, and of course the overall economic and market conditions.
Yeah, it really is. It's like they're building this impressive growth engine, but they also have to navigate some tricky terrain.
Exactly, and that makes it all the more fascinating to watch. But remember, investing isn't just about watching from the sidelines. It's about understanding the forces at play, making informed judgments, and ultimately having the conviction to place your bets.
So to sum it up, NM India is a company firing on all cylinders, but they've also got some hurdles to clear.
Right.
It's a classic tale of risk and reward, and only time will tell how it all unfolds.
And that's the beauty of it all, isn't it? The future is never certain, but by understanding the past and analyzing the present, we can make better decisions about where to place our bets.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's leave our listener with a final thought to ponder. We've seen that NM India is ambitious, they're strategic, and they're operating in a market with huge potential. But the big question is, do they have what it takes to become a global leader in asset management? What factors could propel them to that level, and what challenges might stand in their way?
That's the million-dollar question, and it's one that only you as an informed investor can answer.
We've given you the pieces of the puzzle. Now it's up to you to put them together and see the bigger picture.
Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep. That's the key to success in the ever-evolving world of finance.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll be back soon with another fascinating exploration of a trending topic. Until then, happy investing.